About 2 years ago, in an attempt to win back some much-needed goodwill, 2K Games began unexpectedly putting out a number of remasters of some of their older and most beloved games, chiefly among them being Bioshock 1 and 2 and subsequently Mafia 2. Now, I'm a big fan of Mafia 2. In hindsight, I think for its time, it was one of the highest quality examples of cinematic storytelling in games of its generation, being the late 2000s and early 2010s. I could gush at great length about the narrative techniques and overall story structure, and how it heralds back to classic mob movies in terms of shot composition during cutscenes, etc., but I'm not going to do that here today. What I do want to show you is how beautifully Mafia 2 Definitive Edition, seen here on the right, really nails down the atmosphere with its deliberately stylized inclusion of new lighting effects, which replace the more static and dated lighting effects from the original game with something that gives off a bit more personality. The models, likewise, as you'll notice, are also significantly improved with the aid of modern technology. The open world, likewise, feels more vibrant, with less noticeable instances of pop-in that the developers originally hadn't bothered to conceal. Alright, here's the thing. I was completely bullshitting for the past minute or so. What you're looking at on the right is the original Mafia 2, released in 2010. The archaic clusterfuck of a game that you've been looking at on the left side of the screen is Mafia 2, the Definitive Edition, shoveled out by Hangar 13 with help from D3T, a small studio that specializes in assisting larger teams. Well, looks like Hangar 13 needed every bit of help D3T could offer, because I can't begin to imagine how big a clusterfuck this supposed remaster would have been without some outside help. Considering Hangar 13 back in 2020 still had a bit of egg on its face after the unmitigated disaster and insult to the Mafia franchise that was Mafia 3. One has to wonder why Hangar 13 would have been given the green light for anything Mafia 2 related, would have been given the green light for Mafia 2 to release Mafia 2 Definitive Edition to release in the state that it ultimately did. Maybe 2K was the one metaphorically holding a gun to their heads, pressuring them to release the remaster before it was ready, but if the goal of the remaster's release was to win back fan support, I can't imagine why they thought releasing it as it was would do the trick. And obviously you can probably tell by a simple Google search, it went down pretty much as badly as you'd expect. I ran both versions of the game off the same computer using the exact same NVIDIA 2070 RTX graphics card, using the exact same graphical settings. And yet the differences between the two versions are night and day, and not in a good way. As much as I generally try to isolate myself from the input of other reviewers, even I recall hearing at the time about how the overwhelming number of reviewers and pundits were verbally castrating this game, and in hindsight I thought to myself, well, maybe that might have all been just a bit hyperbolic. Sometimes there is nothing more that mainstream reviews and the general public on social media both love more than simply tearing down a game or developer down a few pegs because other people are already doing so. Dogpiling is a very unfortunate reality more times than not, but sometimes it is more or less warranted, and this is one of those instances. Were I speaking with someone who had never played Mafia 2 before and was hoping this Definitive Edition would be a nice opportunity to potentially become invested in the series at large, all I can say is that Mafia 2 Definitive Edition is the best tool with which to permanently scare away any newcomer to the series. If, for some reason, you're looking to punish a friend with a less than mediocre game that isn't memorable enough to be enjoyably bad, but instead is just so utterly lifeless and devoid of any reason to exist on this mortal plane, then I can think of few games more appropriate to fulfill that role than Mafia 2 Definitive Edition. And if you're someone who actually liked or loved the original Mafia 2 game like me, it's hard not to view Mafia 2 Definitive Edition as anything less than a direct personal insult. And I haven't even begun to mention the unbelievable number of astounding visual bugs and overall unacceptably poor quality of Definitive Edition at launch. What you're looking at here is considered to be the patched and supposedly functional version of the game, and I guess from a merely technical perspective, anyone who said that wouldn't be strictly wrong. I never experienced any game-breaking bugs or anything that too overtly or too significantly disrupted the experience to the point where I had to walk away in frustration, but it was the overwhelming abundance of the little issues that would almost constantly put me on edge. One of the biggest issues is the lighting here. For both games, I had them both running at maximum visual quality at 1080p. Aside from ensuring that and locking the resolutions for both games, I didn't touch the options menu. The lighting in the original Mafia 2 is still spot on. It looks fairly cinematic in presentation, and while it definitely is missing some of the newer lighting improvements that have been invented in more recent years, like dynamic RTX lighting as opposed to pre-baked lighting, it still holds up decently all things considered. It ran nearly perfectly, consistently maintaining what appeared to be a 60 FPS frame rate. Meanwhile, the remastered version here on the left is constantly struggling to even manage a consistent 30 FPS per second. It looks choppy and inconsistent. Not to mention it has this ghastly looking blue tint overshadowing everything without explanation, which is probably one of the biggest offenders here in terms of new additions. As people may or may not know, the Mafia series has always drawn a lot of inspiration from classic portrayals of the Italian Mafia in film and television, such as Goodfellas, The Godfather, The Sopranos, etc. And you can see this in not only how many of the characters are written and voice acted, but also in terms of how both they and the world around them are animated and lit. There's always lots of strong emphasis on strong beams of light contrasted by equally dark shadows or the backdrop of night. There are a lot of cinematic like alternating cuts and panning transitions between medium shots, showing the character's full or upper body, before then zooming in on their face, or vice versa, designed to give you that cinematic-like experience where you can watch the character's nonverbal expressions and body language change depending on the circumstances. What characters don't say in the Mafia games are oftentimes as important as what they do say, and that goes back to how the series has always taken inspiration from these aforementioned films and shows. Given that players who truly care about the narrative experience would want to see these moments look even more refined in a remaster, only to be met with, well, whatever the fuck this is, I can't really begin to express how disappointing it is to see the visual side of the game take such a major step back compared to the original game. Mafia 2 is easily one of my favorite story-driven games of all time. It's a fantastic homage to a long-past generation of Mafia-inspired storytelling, which in of itself has strong roots in real life, in both Italian and American history. That said, I think I can safely speak for the overwhelming majority of Mafia 2 fans when I say that we would all take it as an enormous personal kindness if 2K Games took this game for a long, quiet ride one night and later disposed of the evidence. In this current era where we're consistently getting high-quality remasters and ports of older games, most notably from Sony, who are now finally bringing their enormous library of high-quality first and second-party titles to PC in remastered form, I find it nothing less than baffling that 2K considered Mafia 2 Definitive Edition to be even remotely close to a finished product. Not only would I obviously say don't buy it, I would go so far as to advise you to consider very carefully whether or not to buy future Mafia games from 2K when they inevitably release. It's pretty much an open secret that Mafia 4 has been in development for a few years now. Given how the Mafia 1 remake turned out to be fairly decent, maybe things will work out for future Mafia games, but if not, believe me, I'll be quick to confirm my skepticism as being validated. As ever, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to click the like and comment below what you think of the game. Comments really help my videos get boosted in the algorithm, and plus I read and respond to nearly all the comments I get, so even if you just want to stop by and say hi, or ask me a question on something even if it's unrelated, I'll be more than happy to talk with you down below. Likewise, subscribing and clicking the bell really helps. I know it's cliche, but again, YouTube algorithms are a pain in the ass and nobody likes them. Least of all small channels like me. This is Warrior Dan signing out. Stay awesome everybody, stay safe and peace out.